What's up, guys? This is the Honest Outlaw here, and today we are going to be doing a review on an awesome little handgun. We're going to be talking about the Kimber R7 Mako. The Kimber R7 Mako is another in a long line of double stack subcompact pistols that are basically double the capacity for half the size. It's Kimber's version of a P365. Let's be honest. Before we get into the full review, I want to mention my Patreon supporters. Thank you guys very much. It's because of you we can buy guns and ammo and run the channel non-biased, so I appreciate that. If you want to help the channel, all you got to do is go to the link in the description for Patreon and sign up. Also in that description is a link to a local shelter in Ames, Iowa. It's a youth shelter that I like to support all year round, but in the winter, especially could use your help. So please get on there and donate a couple bucks. And while you're there, there's a link to the Gundies. The Gundies is a online award ceremony for gun tubers, and I am up for best gun reviewer and best shooter. And I'm up against a pretty stiff competition as well. So I'd appreciate it if you guys, if you like the channel, if you get on there and vote. You can vote once a day. All you got to do is go to the link in the description, vote for best gun reviewer, vote for best shooter. Now, the Kimber Mako is a gun that I have less experience with than guns that we normally have on the table. And that's because out of the 1,000 rounds we shot through the gun, I only shot about half of them. As you can see by the Tiffany blue / aqua / teal color of this holster from CYA Supply Co., a veteran-owned company that my wife got her holster from, this is not my carry gun. This is actually my wife's carry gun. Out of all of the guns she's shot thus far as the testing is gone, this is the one she's went with, and this is the one she's been carrying now for almost a month. The Kimber Mako is a subcompact 9mm pistol that is a striker fire design. It comes with two 10 and 12 round magazines, as you can see right here. It has a 3-inch overall barrel length, and then it also has 19 overall ounces of weight. So for only 19 ounces, you can get yourself a gun that shoots 12 rounds of 9mm plus one in the tube, obviously. That is not only ready to go, but has a very nice trigger and a very nice sighting setup, which we'll get to here in a second. As you can see, the Kimber Mako actually looks a little bit different than a lot of the other subcompacts as well. And we do have some of those on the table here. Sorry, I keep sniffling. I'm trying not to sneeze. But we've got a Shield Plus here. We've got a Glock 43, and we have the venerable P365 with the old ancient Glock 43 here hanging off in the corner, crying about its capacity. I'm just kidding, but seriously, if you really think about it, this is what we used to have to deal with, and this is my carry gun for many years, and this was my wife's carry gun. This is actually what she upgraded from to this. And as you can see here, for the same size, literally the exact same size, you get 12 rounds of capacity with red dot capability right out of the box. And that's one of the things my wife wanted me to mention in this video that I didn't even think about, because it's so easy for me to mount red dots. You can actually get this gun. This one I know for sure that you can buy with this Crimson Trace 5 MOA red dot. And that's not the best red dot in the world, don't get me wrong, but it is mounted on the gun right away. And honestly, there's a lot of people that probably could use the capability of a red dot, since it makes it really easy to shoot for all the reasons we've discussed over and over on the channel, but that might not have the capability to actually mount said red dot. And I know a lot of you guys are out there like, how could you not mount a red dot? You know, it's just a plate, and then you take off the 2 screws, then you add on the optic, and you put the screws in. Well, sometimes you have to pick different plate systems. Sometimes you have to use different screw lengths depending on what optic you want. So for a lot of new shooters, it definitely is nice that they offer a model of this that comes with an optic right out of the box. And now Smith & Wesson does that as well. You can buy the Shield with red dots on it, and I'm sure you can do the 365 and maybe some Glock variants as well, although I've never seen one. But it is nice that they do that. It also is nice that they add a very high quality sighting setup, as you can see there. That red dot is actually a little bit obscured by the power of the HD night sight at the end there. And if you're one of those people who are newer shooters, you're probably using your iron sights to line up your red dot, so it would be good to have a high definition red dot. One of the downsides to this setup, though, is I find with 2 high definition sighting systems is you sometimes have a tendency to not be sure which one you want to use. If you get used to shooting like this with a dot in the upper 1/3, which is how I like to shoot it, you might accidentally use that front sight in speed and accidentally miss your shot. So that's one thing to be aware of. But I do like the sights, and I do like the red dot. It certainly allows for a much more precise sight picture than something like this with standard iron sights. Am I going to be more accurate with this because of the red dot? Yep, I actually am. The downside is, though, is it going to be reliable? Because these Crimson Trace red dots, I don't really know a lot about them. I know that we've got a 1,000 round shrew with this gun. We have dropped it a few times. You can see some marks here and there, and she does carry it, but we haven't put it through a super durability test yet. But the good news about having those two high definition sighting setups is if one did break, you can always use the other one, right? Even if the window is cracked and it obscures your vision through the glass, which is what a lot of people talk about, or it's fog, you can always still use the bending aiming concept made popular by the Trijicon ACOGs, where you kind of superimpose that dot. I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever done this, but you can actually shoot through scopes that have the damn lens caps on by using that. Not at like 300 yards, but you certainly can use it in bad breath distances, which is what this is designed for anyway. We also have front and rear slide serrations, which are very easy to grab. The Kimber Mako, the R7 Mako, we're just going to call it the damn Mako because it's a cool shark and I like the name, but they actually does have a rather large slide by comparison to some of the other guns. You can see there it's just a little bit taller, kind of reminiscent of maybe the PPQ or VP9 series, which does make it really easy to grab as well. Now, one of the controversial features of this gun, in my opinion, is going to be the high point-ish ejection port, which we saw absolutely no problems with whatsoever, and Kimber has mentioned that they believe this would be better in adverse conditions. Your mileage may vary. I didn't notice a con or a pro of that, other than the fact that it is just there. Now, we're going to get to the texture of the gun. I like a lot, and so did my wife, actually. It's got a more aggressive texture than even something like the Shield Plus, which feels really good, and it actually goes all the way through the pistol. You see here on a lot of guns that they'll not texture the spot where your palm hits, and that's bullshit, because my hand grips here just as much as it grips everywhere else. You should try to use as much of the grip as possible. So Kimber has done a real nice thing there where they have textured all the way across, even up to the front, so you can even use your thumb on either side, left or right-handed. So that is pretty cool. We also have full ambi controls on it, which is another reason why my wife chose it. She's left-handed, and we have a magazine release and a slide release on either slide. Slide lock if you're a Glock fan. But then we have these extended magazines as well. The 10 and 12 both have base plates on them, and I think that's another reason why she likes it. The main selling point, though, I believe, is still probably the trigger and the size and weight to capacity ratio. 19 ounces for 12 rounds is very nice, but add that awesome sighting setup and then add this trigger that you've got going on here, and you've got not only a high enough capacity to get the job done, you have a low enough recoil impulse to get the job done quickly, and then you have a good enough trigger and sighting system to get the job done precisely. And all three of those put together is what you want when your life's on the line. You can take a look at this trigger here. That is a very nice break for a subcompact single stack or double stack. The reset isn't as short as like the Shield, but the break is certainly better. You get a little better accuracy than something like the Shield or even the Sig. I'll show you the Shield Plus. A little bit heavier break for sure, but the reset on this gun is going to be a little bit more forced. It's going to want you to shoot faster. This is a P365. You can see there the trigger pull on it. For some reason the trigger didn't want to reset there. Anyway, we'll go to the Glock here. Now this is a custom Glock trigger. You can see here, wow, that's so much heavier. I got so used to the new compact guns, I forget how shitty the old Glock triggers are. This, I think, is actually only a custom face. I think all the internals are factory, and you can tell. Man, that's a terrible trigger. Anyway, so the Kimber Mako actually has a really good trigger, actually has a really good grip, and really good ergonomics. We did shoot 1,000 rounds of varying ammunition, including critical defense, because that's what my wife carries, and critical defense is actually designed for shorter barrels. So we tend to use that with shorter barrel guns. And we saw no reliability issues. Problem with that is Kimber has a spotty track record, especially with subcompact guns. So will that happen to you? Hopefully. I've heard no issues whatsoever with reliability on these guns at all, but remember, this is a new model of gun, so there may or may not be growing pains, hard to say, but I always put out whether it could be possible. This isn't like the Glock Gen 5. This is the brand new version of this gun, so be aware of that. Also, another thing to consider about this gun is going to be holster availability, magazine availability, accessories, things like that. It's a very common caliber in the 9mm, but the magazines for this gun gun are going to be harder to find, and the holsters for this gun are going to be harder to find than something like the Shield or maybe a Glock 43X, especially like a 365 these days. However, they obviously are available because not only did my wife find one, but she found one in freaking Tiffany blue, so they can't be that hard to find. The reliability was great, 1,000 rounds, no issues whatsoever in varying types of environment, including temperature changes. We shot it in a bunch of different climates. Also, we shot it with a whole bunch of different ammunition, and we had no problems. The accuracy was fantastic, and the ergonomics were fantastic for her. And what I mean by that is the gun shot really, really well for me. It was one of the most accurate subcompacts I've ever shot, but I did feel that I preferred the recoil and pulse of the Shield Plus for me. I felt like it shot faster, and I feel like up close I could pile rounds out of this a little bit better. I also preferred the slightly longer grip of the Shield Plus, which is why it probably has less recoil than me, because I can get all my hands on it and bite down and really control / fight that recoil. Whereas the Kimber Mako was made more for a person with maybe a little bit smaller hands, because if I put my hand on this, you can obviously see without the pinky insert that there is no 3 fingers on this bad boy. So a little bit smaller of a grip, but that's probably better if you're not gigantic like me. So my wife's only 5'2", I'm 6'4". That's a big difference in hand size generally. So maybe this gun is just better off for her, and maybe this gun is just better off for me. But it's up to you. Either way, I think it has a lot of advantages out of the box over something like the standard Glock 43 or the Glock 43X, because even though these guns do look cool on here, you got to remember both of these guns are highly customized. And the reason why they are is because they're in the carry rotation. So one thing you have to remember is I like the best gun possible, and this is my usual carry gun here, or this. I carry a stock Shield often, or I carry this upgraded Glock 43X. Now, I don't like to upgrade my pistols, but I do like them to work really well. So I have upgraded this Glock 43 to keep up with guns like this. So that's one thing you have to remember, is that at the end of the day, out of the box, if I had to pick one or two of these, I would definitely pick this one. Out of the box, if I had to pick between the two of these, it'd be a hell of a lot closer, because they have a hell of a lot more capacity for a smaller grip. That's another thing to consider when you're talking about size and weight. If you look at the Kimber Mako's grip there, you can see a whole bunch more grip on the Glock 43X, and the Glock 43X only holds 10 freaking rounds, where this holds 12. We'll do the final size comparison here with the P365. Now, this is a P365X. I actually have an Icarus Precision lower on there to make the grip a little bigger from my big old hands. But you can see even here, even the P365X sticks out of the bottom. But if you compare them with the extended magazine release to give them the same capacity, they have a pretty similar size to weight. But the slide on the Kimber Mako is obviously much bigger, and I believe the Sig P365 is about an ounce lighter, but not that much lighter. So overall, between these, reliability, durability, accuracy, all pretty on par with each other. I think it's really down to just which features you like the best. And I think the Kimber Mako comes with a lot of features that sets it apart from some of the other guns, and I think makes it a pretty valid option in the sea of subcompact double stack pistols. Overall though, I think it's a nice little entry, and I think that if you're into it, it's definitely a pretty decent gun. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Please help out your local homeless shelters, and remember to recycle. I'll check you later.